The twin suns of planet Veratus burned high in the sky, and the desert wind carried dust through the open market. Creatures of all shapes and sizes traded goods, bartered over food, and shouted in strange languages. It was noisy, colorful, and alive. In the middle of this buzzing place walked a tiny alien girl. She was no taller than a human toddler with big glowing blue eyes and soft purple skin. Her clothes were torn. Her stomach growled. She looked at a basket of fruit on a stand and slowly reached out a small hand. She didn't mean to steal. She was just hungry. The vendor turned around too fast. "Hey, thief!" he yelled. The little girl gasped and ran. She dropped the fruit and dashed between legs, carts, and robots. Her heart pounded. Everyone stared. No one helped. And then, the roar came. It was loud, deep, shaking the ground. People screamed. A flock of flying birds scattered into the sky. Stalls fell over. A heavy shape moved through the swirling dust at the edge of the market. Someone shouted, "Galactic Lion, run!" The creature stepped into the light. It was massive, 4 meters long. Its body was black with glowing red stripes. Its teeth curved, like blades, and its eyes were cold and yellow. This was a galactic lion, a predator from the old wars. Thought to be extinct. Not anymore. The tiny alien girl froze in the middle of the road. Dust blew across her face. The lion saw her. Its lips curled. Drool dripped from its jaws. It took one step forward. The girl trembled, her feet unable to move. Everyone around her ran in fear, pushing and yelling. No one looked back. No one helped. Except one. A human man named Jace. He was fixing a machine nearby, hands dirty with oil, a cap on his head, and an old jacket with patches. He looked up when he heard the roar. He saw the lion. He saw the girl. Without thinking, he dropped his tools and ran. The lion moved closer. Jace reached the girl and stood in front of her, spreading his arms wide. His voice was loud and steady. "Stay behind me," he said. The girl looked up at him, confused and scared. She had never seen a human before. The lion growled again. It stepped forward. Its paw slammed into the ground, cracking the tiles beneath. Jace didn't move. He picked up a long metal rod from a broken cart and held it like a weapon. His hands shook, but he did not run. He had no armor, no powers, no backup. Just courage. The lion crouched. People watched from behind walls and stalls. Some whispered, "He's going to die." Others said, "Let the beast have the girl." But Jace did not care. The lion roared again and charged. Jace shouted and swung the metal rod. Clang. The rod hit the lion's face. It roared in pain and smacked Jace with its paw. The man flew through the air, landing hard on the ground. Blood came from his lip. His ribs ached, but he got up. He stood again. He limped back to the girl, who was now crying. He picked her up and held her close. "I said, stay behind me," he whispered. The lion snarled and came closer. Jace looked around. No one helped. Not even the guards. They were too scared. He saw a broken shield on the ground, half covered in sand. He reached for it, keeping one hand around the girl. The lion paused, curious. Jace raised the shield and stepped forward. The alien child looked up at him and whispered, "Why are you helping me?" He smiled through the pain. "Because I couldn't help someone else. A long time ago." The lion's growl grew louder. Its tail flicked. Muscles tensed. Jace whispered, "You'll have to go through me first." And just then, the lion leapt into the air. The lion's claws flashed in the sun as it flew through the air. Jace gritted his teeth and raised the broken shield. The alien child clung to his neck, her small fingers digging into his jacket. There was no time to think. Just one chance to block the attack. Crash! The force of the lion's body slammed into the shield. Jace stumbled backward, his boots dragging, through the dirt. He barely stayed standing. The shield bent. His arms burned with pain. But the girl was still alive. Still behind him. The lion roared again, angry now. Its red-striped fur bristled. It had never been challenged like this. Not by a human. Not by anyone so weak. Jace dropped to one knee, gasping for breath. He tasted blood in his mouth, but he looked up, eyes sharp. "Come on then," he muttered. "You want her? You'll have to go through me again." The alien child opened her mouth. "Run," she whispered. "Please. You'll die." Jace shook his head. "No, I lost someone once. I won't lose you too." The lion circled them, tail swishing low. It was hunting, now like it did on war-torn planets, but something was strange. It wasn't just hunger in its eyes, it looked intelligent. And it was angry. Around the marketplace, no one moved. They watched, silent and frozen. Some held their breath. A few recorded from behind corners with shaky cams, but none stepped forward. Only the wind dared speak, blowing sand, over fear. Jace's eyes flicked to a broken hoverbike lying nearby. Wires spilled from its side like intestines. Then his eyes landed on a sharp pipe sticking out of the wreck. He had an idea. "Hold tight," he whispered to the girl. "I'm going to run." "What?" she said, terrified. The lion growled low, sensing motion. "Just trust me." Suddenly Jace ran, not away, straight at the lion. People gasped. The lion blinked, surprised. Jace faked a left step, then rolled right. The lion swiped, missed by an inch. He ducked under the beast's arm, dashed to the hoverbike, and kicked. The pipe free. It was heavy, sharp, and glowing faintly with energy. Perfect. He turned just in time to block another claw. Sparks flew. The girl screamed. Jace grunted but didn't fall. Now he had a weapon. Now he was a fighter. He pushed the girl gently behind the hoverbike, hiding her in the shadows. "Stay low. Don't move." She nodded, trembling. Jace faced the lion again. "You're fast," he said, "but I'm stubborn." The lion growled louder and lunged once more. This time Jace ducked and swung the pipe. The metal struck the lion's leg. It howled, but not in pain, in rage. The fight had begun. They clashed again and again, man and beast. Jace was bruised, bleeding, but never stopped. The lion grew more wild, its roars shaking the sky. But Jace had something more powerful than strength. He had purpose. In the shadows, the little alien girl watched, her eyes wide with fear and wonder. No one had ever protected her before. She didn't even know this man's name. But now, she whispered it, even without knowing. Hero. On a rooftop nearby, a hidden figure watched the scene. She was tall, with silver eyes and skin like obsidian stone. Her cloak flapped in the wind. She wasn't there to help. She was there to observe. And she said softly into her communicator, "Send a message to the Queen. The human is still alive, and now he's interfering. Again." Back below, Jace stood tall, breathing hard. The lion growled, circling again. His hands shook from exhaustion. The pipe dripped red. His back ached. But he didn't step back. The girl was behind him, and as long as she was there, he would not fall. Jace stood with shaking legs, pipe gripped tight, blood dripping down his arm. Dust blew across the wrecked market. The Galactic Lion prowled in a slow circle, growling low like a warning drum. Every few seconds, its glowing eyes locked onto the little girl, then back to Jace. But the human didn't move. Not this time. Not again. He had seen this before. Years ago. Another child, another planet, another failure. Memory flashed. The heat of fire, screams. A small boy, his brother, trapped beneath metal, and Jace, just a young soldier, unable to lift it. "Jace, help me!" his brother cried. But the beast came first, and Jace ran. He ran. He survived, but his brother didn't. That scream never left him. Now, back in the present, Jace blinked hard. Sweat and tears blurred his vision. He gritted his teeth. "I'm not running again." he whispered to himself. He shifted his stance, adjusting the sharp pipe. The lion noticed the change. It paused. Its ears twitched. This wasn't just prey anymore. The human was challenging. Around them, the market was deathly silent. The little alien girl peeked from behind the hoverbike. She saw his back, bloodied, broken, and still standing strong. Her tiny heart thudded fast. She didn't know who he was. But he was all she had now. The lion crouched again. Jace whispered, "Come on, you monster. Let's finish this." The lion pounced. Jace moved, not away but forward. He slid low and jammed the pipe upward. The sharp metal tore into the lion's side. The beast roared and crashed into the ground, rolling in pain. But Jace fell too. He landed hard. The breath knocked out of him. He coughed, chest burning. When he looked up, the lion was already rising, bleeding but furious. The pipe was still stuck in its body, but not enough to kill it. "Too shallow," Jace muttered. "I missed the heart." The beast limped toward him. Jace tried to get up. His leg gave out. He couldn't run, couldn't move. The lion raised a paw. This was it. Suddenly, a scream broke through the silence, a small voice, high and shaking. "No!" The alien girl ran out from behind the wreckage. "Don't hurt him," she cried, standing in front of Jace, arms out. The lion paused, its head tilted. The crowd gasped, and for one strange second, the lion didn't move. Its eyes stared deep into the child's. Something ancient flickered there. Something from another time. Then, boom! A plasma shot exploded near the lion's feet. Smoke and sparks flew. The lion roared in surprise and leapt back. Jace turned his head. 3 security guards stood nearby, guns raised, faces pale. One shouted, "Get the child!" "We've got it now." Too late. The lion recovered and vanished into the smoke, leaping over carts and crashing through a wall. Its massive body disappeared into the wilderness beyond the market. Gone. Silence fell again. Jace lay on the ground, eyes closed. The girl knelt beside him and cried, shaking him. "Please, don't die, please." His eyes opened slowly. Smiled weakly. "You screamed louder than it roared." She smiled through tears. One of the guards came closer. "He needs a medic. Get the med drone here now." As the drone arrived and scanned his wounds, the market people slowly returned. Whispers spread. The human saved her. He fought that beast alone. He stood in front of the lion. Many looked at him differently now. Not as a weak creature, but something else. On a rooftop far away, the tall alien figure with silver eyes lowered her binoculars. She pressed a button on her communicator. He remembers. The lion triggered his past. The child is the key. If we move now, we can still stop what's coming. Back at the market, as the med drone floated away with Jace on the stretcher, the girl refused to let go of his hand. "He saved me," she whispered to the guards. One nodded slowly. "He's more than just a human, little one. He's something we didn't expect." The hover ambulance hummed quietly as it carried Jace through the glowing dusk of Veratus. Inside, he lay still, half conscious, bandages wrapped around his chest and arms. The little alien girl sat beside him, her small hands clutching his larger one. She hadn't spoken since they left the market, but her eyes never left his face. Outside, wind whispered over the glass roof. The sky was soft purple now, twin moons beginning to rise. Jace groaned. His eyes fluttered open. "Still here?" he whispered. The girl nodded. "I didn't leave you." He smiled weakly. "Good. You've got more courage than anyone back there." They landed in a small outpost hospital near the edge of the desert. It was quiet, dusty, poor. Inside, alien nurses blinked in surprise when they saw a human and a child enter together, bloodied, broken, but alive. "Emergency trauma," one nurse barked. "Get a healing pod ready." As Jace was placed inside the pod, the girl refused to leave the room. "He protected me," she told them. "He stays with me, or I go too." The staff exchanged glances but allowed it. She sat beside the glowing pod, hands in her lap, feet swinging nervously. Somewhere far across the desert, a scream echoed through the rocks. It came from deep inside, a collapsed hut. A trail of blood led down to a broken woman crawling through the sand, one leg twisted. Her clothes were torn and her long tendrils dragged behind her. She was the girl's mother. The Galactic Lion had attacked her home first. She had fought. She had survived. Barely. Now she crawled across burning sand, eyes full of pain and rage. "My daughter," she gasped. "She's out there." Back at the outpost, hours passed. The girl sat alone, watching Jace sleep inside the healing pod. Suddenly, the doors burst open. Nurses gasped. A guard reached for his weapon, but stopped. A figure limped in, leaning on a broken metal staff. Her skin was scraped and dirty, one eye swollen, but her voice, shaky and sharp, cut through the silence. "Where's my daughter?" The girl turned her head. "Mom?" The woman dropped her staff and fell to her knees. The child ran into her arms and they held each other tightly, crying in relief. "I thought I lost you," the mother whispered. "I thought you were gone." The girl sobbed. Then the mother looked up. Her eyes landed on the healing pod. "Man inside, the human?" she asked. The girl nodded. "He saved me. He fought the lion alone." The mother stared in silence. Her breathing slowed. She crawled forward, bruised and limping, and gently placed a hand on the glass pod. "Why?" she whispered. "He didn't know me. He's not from our world. Why would he risk his life? For a stranger's child?" Behind her, the nurse said quietly, "Because he's human." The mother didn't speak. She just sat beside the pod, holding her daughter's hand in one hand and Jace's through the glass in the other. Later that night, a storm rolled in. Lightning flashed far off in the desert. The wind howled, but inside the medical outpost, it was calm. The girl had fallen asleep, curled next to her mother. Jace stirred inside the pod. His eyes opened. The glowing gel drained slowly, and the lid lifted. He sat up with a groan. The mother stood quickly. "You're awake." He blinked. "You're her mother?" She nodded. Jace rubbed his eyes. "She's safe now. That's all that matters." The woman looked at him with quiet eyes. "You shouldn't have survived that lion. It kills war. Soldiers." He gave a weak smile. "I fix engines, not fight beasts. I guess no one told the lion that." She smiled faintly, then sat beside him. "I owe you my child's life," she said. Jace shook his head. "You don't owe me anything." But she leaned forward, voice soft and serious. "No, I owe you everything." Just outside the room, a drone silently hovered near the ceiling. It blinked red, recording everything, and across the planet, deep inside a hidden base, someone watched. The woman with silver eyes leaned forward. "So," she whispered, "the mother has entered the game." She turned to her soldiers. "Bring me the human, alive. And if the lion finds him again, make sure the lion loses." The healing pod hissed softly as it closed behind Jace. He limped out of the medical room, still weak, but he refused to rest. His ribs ached, his arm was still wrapped tight, but his mind was already alert. Something wasn't right. He had fought beasts before, back in the war. But that Galactic Lion? It wasn't just attacking for hunger. It had a purpose. It was hunting. And the girl? No, he thought. She's still not safe. Outside the outpost, clouds rolled thick across the twin moons. Thunder cracked. The sand shifted. A massive shadow moved across the dunes. The lion had returned. But this time, it wasn't alone. Two smaller lions, not full-grown but deadly, followed behind. Red light shimmered in their eyes. Their movements were sharp, controlled. Too controlled. Someone was guiding them. Back inside the outpost, the mother helped Jace sit down beside the sleeping girl. The child's fingers were still curled around the edge of his jacket. "She won't let go," the mother whispered. Jace smiled softly. Neither will I. He looked at the woman. What's your name? She hesitated. Zarina. And hers? Laya, she replied, brushing a curl from the girl's cheek. Jace nodded. She's brave. Zarina looked at him. You fought for her like a father. Jace's face fell slightly. I once had a little brother. He screamed my name when the fire came. I couldn't reach him in time. Silence filled the room. Zarina gently placed a hand on his shoulder. Then maybe saving Laya was a second chance. Suddenly, alarms blared across the outpost. Red lights flashed. A voice screamed through the loudspeakers. Lion contact! 3 hostiles, breaching south wall! Jace stood up. They found us. Zarina's eyes widened. They tracked her. Here. Jace grabbed his jacket and limped toward the hallway. Keep her safe, lock the doors. Zarina stepped forward. You're not healed yet. I'm not letting that beast take her, not while I'm breathing. He turned back, eyes cold and calm. If this is my last stand, I'll make it count. The outpost guards gathered, near the southern entrance, nervous, outnumbered, undertrained. Jace grabbed a blaster from the wall and checked its charge. Get the civilians inside, he ordered. Trap the corridors, use the loader bots for defense. The captain frowned. You're not in charge, human. I didn't see you in the marketplace when that lion came. Did you fight it? Silence. Then, follow the human, one soldier said. Jace nodded. Good. Let's make a wall it can't break. Thunder rolled, and then they came. The smaller lions struck first, claws ripping through walls, smashing doors, knocking guards off their feet. The big one followed. The same. Beast Jace had fought, its side still scarred from the pipe wound. Its eyes locked onto the outpost with fury. Jace stood in the hallway, breathing hard. This was it. He raised the blaster and fired. Blasts of blue energy slammed into the lions. They shrieked, but kept coming. Metal cracked. Walls fell. Smoke and dust filled the air. Inside the medical room, Zarina sealed the door and knelt beside Laya. The child stirred, frightened. Is the lion back? She whispered. Yes, her mother said gently. But he's out there again, standing in front of you. Jace fought like a machine. He ducked, rolled, shot again and again. He used the loader bot to trap one of the smaller lions under heavy crates. The other one leapt, and he tackled it mid-air, driving a sharp pipe into its throat. He was bleeding again, limbs weak, but still standing. The large lion growled, now face to face. Jace dropped the empty blaster. Just us now. The lion lunged, and Jace didn't move. He waited, until the last second, then ducked under its jaw and stabbed a charged power cell deep into its wound from before. Boom! The beast exploded in sparks and flame, roaring in agony as blue lightning danced through its veins. It collapsed to the floor with a heavy crash. Dead. Smoke filled the outpost. Fires burned in. The walls. Jace fell to one knee, coughing. It was over, but he could barely breathe. Zarina rushed to him, holding Laya in her arms. The girl jumped down and hugged him tightly. You came back. He smiled through the blood. I told you. I'm not leaving again. Far above the burning outpost, a shadowy figure stood on a silent ship. The silver-eyed woman watched the screen. The lion is dead. The human survived again. She turned to her soldiers. Now we move to phase 2. Bring him in. The fire was out. Smoke still drifted from the broken walls of the outpost. Bodies of the lions were dragged away by loader bots. Medical drones flew between the injured, stitching wounds, patching torn skin, spraying flesh with cold healing foam. But no one looked at the flames anymore. All eyes were on the human. Jace sat quietly outside, his back against a wall. His shirt was ripped. His arms were wrapped in bandages. A small cut ran across his cheek. But he was breathing, and Laya was asleep in his lap. Zarina stood beside him, one hand on his shoulder. She didn't say anything. She didn't have to. People began to gather, not just guards or nurses, but merchants from the old marketplace, Traders who had fled, engineers, civilians, all the ones who had once laughed at the idea of a human hero. They came now in silence, and elder with wrinkled green skin stepped forward. He had once mocked Jace's clumsy hands when he fixed a generator. Now he bowed. You faced the beast twice, and lived. For a child that wasn't even yours. Jace looked up, confused. What else was I supposed to do? Just let her die? The elder's eyes dropped. That's what the rest of us did. Another voice joined in. A market vendor who once scolded Laia for stealing fruit. I saw him raise a broken shield against the lion. Like he thought it mattered. It did, a young voice said. A boy, in dusty clothes. It mattered to her. The crowd grew. And for the first time, the aliens stopped talking about what Jace was and started seeing who he was. Zarina helped him stand. He gently picked up Laia and placed her in her mother's arms. She's yours, he said with a soft smile. Zarina held her close. You don't have to keep proving anything, Jace. But, Jace shook his head, it's not about proving, it's about becoming. Becoming someone better than I was before. He turned to the crowd. His voice was steady but tired. You all left her, a tiny child, alone. I'm not special. I just couldn't ignore that. Silence. Then slowly, someone clapped. Then another. And then the entire square echoed with clapping. The aliens who once ignored him were now cheering, not for a soldier, not for a leader, for a human who stood between life and death, and didn't flinch. At that moment, a small ship landed just outside the compound. Its doors opened. 6 armored figures stepped out. Their suits shimmered silver black, eyes hidden behind glass visors, silent, sharp, like shadows made real. At their front, the silver-eyed woman. She didn't smile. She didn't cheer. She only said, "He's coming with us." Zarina stepped in front of Jace. Who are you? The woman looked down at her. I am Director Vess. And that man is not just a mechanic. He is tied to an ancient predator bloodline, one our scientists thought extinct. Jace blinked. What are you talking about? She held up a device. It projected a hologram of the Galactic Lion's DNA and Jace's blood. The match glowed red. You weren't just brave, she said coldly. The lion recognized you. Zarina's eyes widened. Jace took a step back. You mean, that's why it didn't kill me? Vess nodded. You are connected, through genetics, or something deeper. That's why we're taking you. The guards aimed their weapons. The crowd grew restless. Zarina raised her voice. He's a hero, not your experiment. But Jace raised a hand. He stepped forward. I'll go. Zarina turned to him, shocked. No! He looked at her, then at Laia, now awake and scared again. If I don't, they'll keep coming. The lions, the secrets, the danger. I have to end this. I need to know who I really am. He knelt beside Laia. He smiled. I'm not leaving you. I'm just going to fix something bigger now. She nodded slowly and whispered, Come back soon, Daddy. Jace's heart tightened. He hugged her gently, then stood and walked into the shadow of the ship. As the hatch closed behind him, the crowd watched in silence. The same crowd that once laughed, now watched their human hero vanish into the unknown. The inside of the ship was cold, silent, and bright. Jace sat on a metal bench, his arms still wrapped in healing mesh. Across from him, Director Vess stood like a statue. Her silver eyes never blinked. The hum of engines filled the air. But no, one spoke, until she finally said, You don't know what you are. Jace looked up, tired but calm. I know what I'm not. I'm not like you. Vess didn't react. You stood before a galactic lion and it hesitated. No one in 1,000 years has lived through such a thing. That's not luck, that's instinct. I stood for a child, he said firmly. That's human. Vess leaned closer. Or maybe it's something more. The ship soared through the clouds and landed on a floating facility above the clouds of Veratis, the Spire, a hidden research base. No one below even knew it existed. Jace was taken into a clean white room. Tubes, lights, machines that hummed in alien tones. They scanned his blood, his bones, his memories, and what they found shocked even them. His DNA held something ancient, a strand thought lost in forgotten wars. A link to the first hybrid soldiers, humans once merged with predator blood to create the ultimate defenders. But Jace didn't care about the tests. He only had one question. Can I go home? Vess paused. There is no home for someone like you. Not until you accept what you are. Days passed. They trained him. Taught him how to move faster, strike harder, listen deeper, how to sense a predator before it strikes. Jace hated it. He didn't want to be a weapon. He just wanted to fix engines and keep children safe. But one night everything changed. The alarms blared. The lions had returned. Not one, not three, a pack. More than a dozen beasts, smarter and stronger than the ones before, swarming across the desert. Their leader was not just a beast, but something evolved. A lion prime, wearing battle armor, speaking in growls that carried meaning. It wanted the child. It wanted Laia. And this time, Jace wasn't there to stop it. In the quiet home Zarina had made, Laia sat drawing on a tablet. Her mother stirred soup in a small pot. The wind howled, then cracks in the wall, snarls outside. Zarina's hands trembled. No, not again. She grabbed her old rifle. Laia, hide in the chamber, now! Laia ran, tears in her eyes. Outside, the night lit up in red eyes and fire. Back in the Spire, Vess watched the attack from a control screen. She turned to Jace, her face unreadable. You can stay, safe, powerful, or go back to that child, and die. Jace didn't answer. He just grabbed his armor, his blade, and the photo Laia drew, him with her, standing under twin moons. I'm not a hero, he said, but I'm going. The drop pod hit the ground like thunder. Jace stepped out into the fire-lit night. Lions roared in every direction. He ran, through dust, smoke, screams. He found Zarina at the edge of the town, pinned beneath rubble, gun empty. She gasped when she saw him. You came back. He knelt, lifted the rock. I told her I'd fix what's broken. And her? She's why I fight. The Lion Prime stood tall at the gates, ready to strike Laia's hiding chamber, but then Jace stood between them. Again, no armor, just eyes burning with purpose. The Lion Prime growled. You are like me. Jace stepped forward. No, I'm better. And they clashed. It was not a long fight, it was brutal, loud, but Jace didn't fight to kill. He fought to protect. In the end, he threw his blade aside and let the lion charge, and, at the last moment, he wrapped the beast in a trap cord taken from his armor. It dragged them both into a pit, and he held it down, as flames rose and the ground cracked. Later, rescue teams found him, half-burned, bruised, barely breathing, but alive. Laia ran into his arms. Zarina knelt beside him. You said you weren't a hero, she whispered. Jace smiled faintly. I wasn't born one. He looked at the crowd forming around him, this time ready to follow. But maybe I became one. And so the story of the human who stood before a lion spread across the stars, not because he was the strongest, but because he was the one who stood when no one else did. A hero not born, but made.